I just want to finish up in the pipeline because there was the New York Times did the article on it, and then one of the reporters was put on a podcast, I think an internal New York Times podcast, and when they kind of pressed him more on the issue, he really seemed like he either didn't know or even the sources didn't seem even credible to him. And that story kind of finished up by saying, well, we probably know that we'll never really know. And it was, I've never ever heard a major paper like that report a story like that, where it's like, oh, it felt like they were literally phoning it in. They're like, we just are writing this story because we kind of have to, and we just hope that nobody asks us again. That's literally the way it sounded.
It's, I worked at, without getting, you're right. His message was, he did a podcast. He didn't have to do it.
Right.
The New York Times now is, like a lot of newspapers, very audience, or, I subscribe to the New York Times and there's 15 different magazines and things I could get, you know what I mean? It's so full of, it's not, the business isn't newspapers anymore. The paid circulation used to be 1.7 when I worked there, 1.7 million. Now it's, 310 or 15,000. The newspaper's soon going to be gone. It's all going to be online.
Yeah.
But by the way, the other big riff about me is unnamed sources. And I worked at the New York Times for about 8 years, during which I won all sorts of prizes, wrote a story about domestic spying in the CIA. I'm not always a friend of the CIA's. They tried to kill Allende, and they probably did, but I'm never going to get that story. They certainly were involved in overthrowing him in Chile. And they did what the president asked. And they also were involved in spying on American citizens for Johnson. He thought everybody against the war was a communist and Russia was running it, that kind of nuttiness. But I did all these stories, won all these maybe 40 prizes in 7-8 years there. And 95% of them had no named sources. And the paper knew. In the beginning, the first few stories, they asked me, and I would tell them. One time, I'll just tell you one of the early stories I did, they asked me, and it was the chairman of a major committee and the head of the CIA with the unnamed sources. And I showed my notes to the head. After they said, I give up, go away. I don't want to hear what you do. So it's just bizarre to me. It's not about me. And it's not even about, I do this stuff on Substack. And by the way, it's this Substack. I hired the best editor I worked with in the last 30 years to work for me. And I hired the best fact checker. I worked at the New Yorker's magazine for, I don't know, probably 15, 20 years over the last 50. And always with a lot of hard stories, particularly after the invasion of Iraq. A lot of stories about CIA involved in the middle of Iran and all that. And the fact checkers know my people. And so I hired one of the best who's retired. He came out, he's having fun. It's fun to do it. You're going back into play and making noise. So I'm aware that I'm flawed. I can always screw up like anybody else. I can get the wrong date, or I can have the wrong story, or I can miss something. And so I have the best same backup I had, only I'm paying for it now, happily. And so what's the difference? The difference can only be, as I said earlier, a visceral fear of the coming of the Republicans. That's all I can think of.
Right.
And the same in the Washington Post. The Washington Post now has stories that begin, they'll have a story about Ukraine and there'll be 5 bylines on it. And they'll say, this story was written by the following, and they name them all. And I say to myself, that's the first lie. 5 people writing a story? That's the desk is writing that. The editor wants to know. That's her, she's a woman. It is a woman. And so they begin with a lie when they have all these names in a story.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline. I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up. If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?